So good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you again on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Today, we've got another, I think, very, very popular subject to be discussing. These last couple of weeks on these leaders' calls, we've talked about the importance of building our business online. Of course, that isn't the only way. It's a way, not the way, but it's an important part of our way of being able to build our business here, especially in the 21st century that we're a part of. A special welcome to everyone from around the world. We've got people from Israel, from the UK, from Thailand, from Latin America, from Canada, from the USA, all joining our call this morning, which is absolutely just wonderful. I want to begin by sharing a story today. Let me see if I can turn the page here. A story about melons and how they relate to our business. It's interesting, isn't it? I think with the increased life expectancy that we have nowadays, and especially with the modern time-saving devices that we have, most of us have far more even, discretionary time than our predecessors. Especially as we look at our business building activities, the resources that we have available to us are significantly greater today than they were 20 years ago. I love what the poet said, "Time flies on wings of lightning. We cannot call it back. It comes, then passes forward along its onward track. And if we are not mindful, the chance will fade away. For life is quick in passing, 'tis as a single day." I love that. Time passes so quickly. And yet with this increased free time and vastly more alternatives for its use, I think it's prudent that we review together today how we can use our time and our resources to make the most out of our business. And so here comes the story about the melons. And some of you may have heard this before, shared by a Supreme Court judge by the name of Dallin Oaks. And he's both a Supreme Court judge, but also a religious leader as well. He said, "A homely story contains a warning." He says, "I like this story because it translates into different languages and cultures with ease." Two men formed a partnership. They built a small shed beside a busy road, and they obtained a truck and drove it to a farmer's field where they purchased a truckload of melons for $1 a melon. They drove the loaded truck to their shed by the road where they sold their melons for $1 a melon. They drove back to the farmer's field and bought another truckload of melons for $1 a melon. Transporting them to the roadside, they again sold them for $1 a melon. As they drove back towards the farmer's field to get another load, one partner said to the other, "We're not making much money doing this, are we?" "No, we're not," replied his partner. "Do you think we need a bigger truck?" Now, of course, the answer is not in a bigger truck, is it? Like the two partners in this story, our biggest need, I believe, is for a clearer focus on how we should value and use what we already have. And to that end, what I want to talk about today is the relationship between online marketing and offline marketing in our business. Many people, as I've talked about online marketing strategies, and we've introduced some great techniques over these last couple of weeks, and I need to begin by saying a huge thank you to all of you that have gotten out of your comfort zones and given it a go this past week. We've seen a great increase in people trying out their online marketing activities, doing some live videos. I was speaking to Molly Simpson just yesterday, and she said that Haley Simpson and her husband, as they do, I'm sure many of you have seen their regular live videos, average getting a new customer purchase on each video, which is fantastic. I did one on Thursday. I did a live video event, and I was thrilled to see someone that I was speaking to that I'm mentoring last week, that I was speaking to yesterday, jump on and explain to me how, as a consequence of that, they've got a new business partner ready to sign up. And of course, we see people getting new customers and new business partners throughout this process, but also simply learning and practicing and experimenting and critically building their contact lists in the process. So I want to talk, first of all, about the traditional, typical methods for building a business in network marketing. Here are some critical skills or activities that we need to focus on in order to make sure that we are building our business with strength. We need to be on a regular and consistent basis adding people to our contacting list. We need to be making appointments, giving presentations, confirming commitments, following up, resolving concerns, and helping people to get started fast. Each of these skills and activities for most network marketers have been involved. We have done this time and time and time again. And critically, whether it's online or offline, these skills remain consistent. Let's look at online activities for just an example, really quickly here. We see as we build our business online, there are certain things that we need to do, and online skills can help us to do this as well. Through online activities, we can add people to our contact list. We can set appointments. We can give presentations. We can confirm commitments. We can follow up, resolve concerns, and help people get started fast. So we see that whether we're online or offline, these skills that we are applying, these practices, are consistent. The process of getting someone on board, taking someone from a cold market to a warm market, from a warm market into an active partnership, are consistent whether it's online or offline. The tools that we use are simply different platforms or techniques that apply the same universal principles. So I want to share with you some things that I have found help to maximize my online activity. And I want to spend a bit of time on this page because this page, I think, is really important, especially as we look at what people have been doing last week in venturing out, getting out of their comfort zones and making contact with the world through their online activities. The thing that I love about the online platform or arena is it takes the relevance of your business from potentially being a corner shop to being a global franchise. It gives you an audience that is global. You can target it significantly. You can reach out to people that are like-minded and do that with much greater ease. But it does require some offline activity to help close the deal or to complete the process. So this is what I have found has helped, is I've done online events, and as I've supported my personal group and others that are reaching out and seeking to learn how to make their online activity count, here are some things that I think are very, very important for us to remember. And you'll notice, of course, the subheading here that this bridges the gap between online and offline. I don't believe they work exclusively. I think they work very much hand in glove, closely together to make sure that we're getting the maximum benefit from both. So if I'm building my business online, or if I want to do this, first of all, one thing that I've found is if I'm going to do an online event, let's say I'm doing that on Facebook, it's going to be a live Facebook event, or maybe I'm going to do a Zoom event, because keep in mind, Zoom, as we are getting together today, and as we've been doing so on a consistent basis since March, is also online activity. So what I have found helps if you're going to be hosting or participating in a Zoom meeting, or if you're going to be hosting a Facebook event, that personal invitations play a very important part in that. Warm market should be invited personally. We can do that over the phone. We can do it in person. We can even make the event sound extra special and important by sending them out in a personal invite in the post. That is a great way to add value to the event and help someone feel the importance of it and get closer to saying a yes. The critical point is this. We don't want to spend a great amount of time in an event if we're not going to spend a great amount of time inviting people to attend it. We should spend a significant amount of time inviting people to the events to make sure that the event counts and means something. So whatever time you're putting into preparing for an event, please make sure that we devote ample time and consideration to inviting people. Not just inviting people, but in getting referrals from people that might be saying yes, they might be able to make it, or they might not be able to make it. Referrals are king in this process too, but invite, invite, invite. The second principle, of course, is equally important. We need to spend time confirming commitments. Again, this can be done online through email, for example, or through reminders, through Facebook posts, for example. I sent a reminder out for this meeting last night on Facebook. I also sent out a reminder in email to make sure that the attendance is positive. And of course, it always makes a difference. So at the same time, if you've got particular guests that you want to attend, emailing and Facebook posting is quite inadequate. We need to do more than that. I would encourage everyone, if you're going to make an event count, personal invitations are important, and personal phone calls where we confirm commitments, where we get to speak to people in advance, are also very important. You'll notice perhaps that where you feel the fear factor the most is typically where you might need to spend your time. I hate to say it, but it's true. Typically where we feel a little bit uncomfortable is probably our mind and our heart saying, this is actually important. Scary, but important. So it's important to recognize that we pay attention to the discomforting feelings that we have and listen and respond. A third thing that I have found is also helpful is to give people incentives. I think these incentives really help. Give people a reason to say yes, especially when you're reaching out to cold market. If you're going to be doing an online event, if it's going to be Zoom or if it's going to be on Facebook or Google Hangouts or Periscope or a number of different ways where we might be doing it, maybe a conference call line, for example. It's nice to offer cold market people a reason to come in and hang out. I found that offering a free giveaway for guests at the event that take a particular action is helpful. What action do you want to have them take? Make a note of that in advance. Maybe if you're talking about a product, it might be to purchase one or to simply register as a customer so that you can continue to reach out to them and follow up. For those that do that, maybe a giveaway might be something that is attractive. If you've got something that you've put on auto ship, you'll get a cheaper price for it. So the value of that seems much higher for the end user as it might be for you. But it'll certainly help you to build your audience and help people to take action. Again, I've also found in online activity that not all action happens on the event. It's great to stimulate activity, to get engagement, to build your contact list and so on. But I've typically found that follow-up after the event is very, very important in making sure that we maximize the value of that activity. Again, the follow-up can happen in multiple environments. You can do it on Facebook. You can do it as a reminder, and you can link people to your personal web page. You can also do it through email. But again, if you've got personal invitations with people that you're working with, the best and most rewarding way to do it is in person. Can you see how when we're working online, it doesn't eliminate the offline activity? In fact, it demands it. If we want to really get good results, all of these things dovetail and work in harmony together. My fifth point here is, again, a very critical one, as are all six of these. Keep the conversation going. One thing that is really important to online marketing is making sure that the dialogue or the conversation is something that is meaningful and consistent. We talked about that last week, didn't we? So as you have an online event, it's important to make sure that we keep the dialogue going. Now, on an online environment, if you're using social media as the primary source there for reaching out, I think it's important to recognize as well that it is social media. If all of your videos, if all of your events are exclusively focused on product sales or invitation to be business partners, you will find that you will push away your audience. Which is why I've said in these previous calls, the last one in particular, we talked about personal branding. The relevance of personal branding in today's call is that what it does is it gives you things to talk about that attract your audience and doesn't mean that you're always doing a sales pitch. People on social media don't want to be pitched to all the time, but you will notice, and you'll see this already in your own online activity, you will notice that personal posts, such as family pictures or things that you're doing if you're on holiday, if you're in Thailand, you're posting a picture about that, it all makes a difference and it keeps people engaged and keeps the conversation going. So make sure that when we keep the dialogue going, that it isn't always a sales pitch. That will put people off. So I would recommend maybe 30% of your posts might be related to business or product, but the other things that you're doing to keep the dialogue going is branding. It's building relationships, it's building rapport, it's helping people get to know you, get familiar with you, like you, trust you, And then when you slip in a product story or a testimonial or an invitation to a meeting, it doesn't seem so heavy-handed and you get a better response. And like I said, it keeps people engaged thereafter. My final point, again, really important, I think this one, collaborate. The great thing about this is what I've found this past week, there's been a number of live videos that have been posted that I've really liked and shared. And I think we can get a lot of good out of what other people are doing. If you're a little bit shy, if you're still dipping your toe in the water, why don't you start out by sharing someone else's live video and see what kind of response you get if it relates. Perhaps you simply share a message at the front end, and of course you can get a direct link to your personal webpage, post that in to your comment, and direct the traffic that come to your Facebook page and view that video, but link them to your personal webpage. There are ways that we can collaborate here. And also, again, I'll use last Thursday's example. I did a live Facebook event on Thursday of last week. It was focused on water. Those that attended or that checked it out will notice that Dave Johnson joined me and we did an ABC together, which was kind of fun. But the purpose of that was twofold. One, it was to talk about wellness in the context of the need for hydration. We talked about water as our essential product there, but it was also to support business builders in my team, which of course reaches out to everyone that participated, to invite their guests as well, so that they could bring their guests, their potential partners, their potential customers. They could do the personal invitation as well, confirm the commitment. I gave an incentive for everyone, regardless of whether they were my personal guest or not. We did the follow-up, we keep the conversation going, and we collaborated. We gave people there a chance to participate, bring their friends, bring their guests. And the wonderful thing is there, as a consequence of that, what happened there, excuse the phone ringing there, what happened was, as a consequence, we got new customers coming in and getting involved. I've got someone from New Zealand saying, how do I get my hands on the waterfall? I'm going to do a personal shipment out that way to look after that good friend of mine there. We've got business partners or potential business partners from guests that turned up as well. So what works here is, if you're nervous about getting an audience, thinking it might be small, team up with your team. Get your personal group together and make it a joint effort. One person might play the role of host, but you can all work together in order to invite people to come along and get involved as well. Make it an us thing versus a me thing. And that can be kind of neat as well, because of course people join the community, the club, just as much as they join the person. Now, this moves us on to the offline activity. So if I'm not too comfortable doing a live Facebook event, but I see the need for this, well, how can I maximize my offline activity? So if you have a trade fair, if you're working an in-home presentation, if you've got one coming up, if you've got a local meeting or a big event, keep San Antonio in mind, of course, in October, you can strengthen your results there by, again, integrating some online activity. Perhaps you can promote your in-home, your trade fair, your local meeting, or your big event through social media. Let people know about it. Perhaps get a little bit of effort put into doing some posts that can recognize, promote, encourage attendance at your events. Get the online audience talking about it too. Maybe you can start a bit of an email campaign. You look at, it wasn't that long ago, I remember I went as a missionary for my church back in 1994, 96. When I came back from my mission, having been completely removed from the world in that context, email had been invented. I was going out with my first girlfriend as I came back, and she said she needed to go and pop into university to check out email. And I was like, what's email? She had to explain to me what it was. Electronic mail. Oh, wow. That sounds kind of clever. And yet now we can't live our lives without it. See how it integrates so quickly. Get involved in getting an email campaign. Build up a contact list. Gather your customers. Get your downline together. Email out and involve your audience that you've got in an email campaign so that you can reach out and give them tips and advice and help and information. That's a great way to do it. We can also advertise online. If you're going to be going to San Antonio, maybe you might want to do some localized advertising in the San Antonio area where you can reach out to people there and invite people to come along to the event. Maybe get some tickets that you can give to people at that event and get them coming along. Gary Linden is a good example. He always promotes his self-care meetings. He's just done a quick promotion there. in the chat if you've seen it, for his self-care event, which takes place on Wednesdays. So again, make use of the online activity or resources to promote your offline business activity. So what we see here is something I think that's really compelling. Whether it's online or offline, what we see is it's not one or the other. The two work together to complete a whole. You can see here that we do networking, speaking meetings, print publication, direct mail, cold calls, maybe some local advertising and newspapers to get building our contacting list, associations with trade shows and so on. All of this stuff happens offline. And we need to do this stuff on a regular, consistent basis. We need to make sure that we're talking to people face-to-face. At the same time, we've got social media, webinars, phone and video, blogs, online publications we can connect to, email, search advertising, online advertising, groups and online conferences, all of this. But what we see is the two go hand in hand. We shouldn't do one at the cost of the other. We should do them together to enrich the both. So my invitation to you today, to follow on from last week, if you've been doing some online videos, certainly keep doing it. We want to make sure that we're getting these wonderful things going out. What I love about this is we're raising the brand of Niken online. We're making the conversation more relevant. We've got more people talking about us, and we're getting more customers coming through and more business builders joining as a result of this. If you haven't had a conversion yet to a customer or a consultant, just keep going. It's practice, practice, practice. And again, like I said, consistency. At the same time, I'd like to invite each of us that are doing that to utilize the offline activity of personal invitations, networking, attending local meetings, doing trade shows, all of that offline activity to support and encourage the activity that's taking place online. I think that's really important that we bring the two together. Likewise, your online stuff, support it offline. Your offline stuff, you support online. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the way forward. Like I said, this takes the relevance of our business away from being a corner shop to being a global franchise. That is what we want to see happen. We want to see our relevance increase. We want to see our audiences expand. We want to see our connectivity with the world be meaningful and natural and fun. The great thing about this is, as we focus on what we talked about last week with our personal brand, we don't need to feel in competition with each other. I used some examples last week of some newly married couples, some people that love horses. We've got people that have children with autism or special needs. We've got people that are family focused. We've got people that focus on mentoring, on coaching, on training. Whatever your brand is, get it out there. Share your story. And remember, it's your story that people buy into first and foremost before they buy into the business story, before they buy into the product story, and before they buy into the business story. But it's all about telling great stories, which are our stories. Be authentic, be real, be natural, be yourself, and give it a go. But remember, this does not compete with the offline activity, and it certainly doesn't do it instead of the offline activity. I believe firmly that if we want to have great success online, it has to be supported with offline invitations, confirmation of commitments, and follow-up, and collaboration with our teams in order to make that count. So let's collaborate. I think I've got someone that's drawing on my screen here. I'm not sure how that's going on, but nonetheless, let's collaborate, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you again for joining. We're just about to hit 100 people on this call, which is fantastic. Please, again, share this. This is something I believe that can be a business tool for you in sharing with others as to how to build their businesses. These last 3 videos that we've done here together really are forming a bit of a focused training on critical business building activities. They're evolutionary, they're progressive, and I hope that these are making a difference in helping. So thank you all very much. Remember, it's not online or offline, it's both of them together that makes a difference. Thank you all for being with us on the call today, and of course, be sure to plug in to the next call, which is in just 30 minutes time. Take care, everyone, and we'll speak soon. Bye-bye.